Hey guys, so I'm originally from Ohio and I liked Ohio history. I still like Ohio history. And back in the time before white people came to North America, there were lots of other people living here, even before the quote unquote Native Americans. And there are some mounds, Mounds, in Ohio that I want to try to remember. I once knew more about them, but I'm going to use Chat G, interview him or her about that. Hey, Chat G, how are you?
Hey there. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you? How's your day going?
Hanging in there. I have a question. I used to live in Ohio, and I used to know something about ancient Ohio history. There is something in Ohio called the mounds that I think were burial grounds of ancient people. Can you say a little bit about that and then we'll explore it together? Uh,
Absolutely. In Ohio, the ancient mounds are often associated with the Hopewell and Adena cultures. These mounds were built thousands of years ago and served as burial sites, as well as ceremonial centers. Some of the most famous sites are the Serpent Mound and the Newark Earthworks. There's a lot of fascinating history there, so I'm happy to dive deeper whenever you're ready.
well, how many mounds or sets of mounds do you think there are in Ohio? Go ahead.
Ohio? Sure. Ohio actually has hundreds of mounds spread across the state. Some estimates put the number at over 10,000 mounds historically, though many have been disturbed or lost over time. There are several major groups of mounds, like the Adena Mounds and the Hopewell Mounds, and they're found all throughout the region. It's definitely a rich and fascinating part of Ohio's history.
Are they in a certain part of the state instead of some other part of the state?
Yeah, definitely. The mountains are more concentrated in certain regions. For example, the southern and southwestern parts of Ohio, like the Ohio River Valley, have a high density of mounds. The area around Chillicothe, for instance, has a lot of Adena and Hopewell mounds. There are also some significant mounds in the central part of the state and a few in the northern regions as well. But they're definitely more prominent in the southern parts.
Now, would you say that the mounds are burial grounds or are they something else?
They actually served multiple purposes. Many of them were indeed burial grounds where ancient peoples buried their dead with grave goods and ceremonial objects, but they also had ceremonial and religious significance. Some mounds were used for gatherings, rituals, and even astronomical alignments. So they definitely had a variety of roles in ancient Ohio cultures.
So, uh,
Absolutely. It's really fascinating how they combined both practical and spiritual purposes. If you want to explore any specific mound or culture in more detail, just let me know.
yeah, so you named two groups that had mounds. Name those groups again. Which of the two groups came first?
Sure, the two groups I mentioned are the Adena and the Hopewell cultures. The Adena culture came first, and they were prominent around 1000 BCE to 200 BCE. The Hopewell culture followed later, roughly from 200 BCE to 500 CE. So the Adena were the earlier of the two cultures.
Now, where do you think the Adena people came from? Do they come from Asia? Do they walk here from Asia?
That's a great question. The Adena people, like many of the ancient peoples of North America, are generally believed to have descended from the first humans who migrated from Asia across the Bering Land Bridge thousands of years ago. Over time, those early migrants spread out and developed distinct cultures, like the Adena and later the Hopewell. So, in short, yes, their origins trace back to those early migrations from Asia.
And what do you think caused the culture of the Adenas to create these mounds in the first place? Are mounds like that found in Asia anywhere?
That's an intriguing question. The Adena likely built mounds for a mix of reasons, for burial practices, religious and ceremonial purposes, and even to mark important social or political spaces. The mounds could have also been a way to honor leaders or important figures in their community. As for Asia, while there are ancient burial mounds and tumuli in places like Japan and Korea, the Adena mounds have their own distinct characteristics and styles. So while the concept of burial mounds is found in different cultures worldwide, the Adena mounds are unique to their own cultural context.
Do you think it's just a way one practical thing might be they just didn't have to dig up the ground? They could just pile up ground around a body? Could that be a practical reason why or not?
Absolutely. That's definitely a practical aspect to consider. Building mounds could have been a more efficient way to create burial sites, especially if the ground was rocky or difficult to dig. By piling earth and creating mounds, they could also more easily mark the burial site and protect it from the elements. Plus, it allowed for the creation of ceremonial spaces and structures on top of the mounds. So it definitely had both practical and symbolic reasons.
Now, how big are these mounds? What can you compare it to? Like part of a football field, or what would you say?
Yeah, the sizes can vary a lot. Some of the smaller mounds might be just a few feet high and maybe a few dozen feet across, while the larger ones can be quite massive. For example, the Great Serpent Mound is about 1,300 feet long, and some of the burial mounds, like those in the Adena culture, can be as tall as 30 feet or more and cover several acres. To give a sense of scale, some of the bigger mounds could cover about half or even a full football field in area. It really depends on the site.
Now, have archaeologists gone into the mounds or not?
Yes, definitely. Archaeologists have done quite a bit of work at many mound sites. They've carefully excavated some mounds to learn more about the people who built them, the burial practices, and the artifacts that were left behind. That said, there's always been a careful balance to ensure that the sites are preserved and respected. Some mounds have been studied extensively, while others remain more intact for future research. It's definitely an ongoing field of study.
You said the Hopewell were 200 BC to what? To what? You didn't give an end time.
Yes, the Hopewell culture generally flourished from around 200 BCE to about 500 CE, so roughly a span of 700 years, give or take. It was a pretty significant period of cultural development in the Ohio region.
Well, now, other states of the Union also have mounds or not?
Absolutely, yes. Other states do have mounds as well. For instance, you'll find significant mound sites in places like Illinois, Missouri, and Wisconsin. The Cahokia Mounds in Illinois, for example, are some of the most famous and extensive mounds complexes in North America. You can also find mounds in states like Ohio, Indiana, and even parts of the southeastern U.S., like in Georgia and Florida. It's definitely a widespread phenomenon across the continent.
All right. Well, thank you so much for helping. We really appreciate it.
Welcome. I'm glad to help. If you have any more questions or want to dive into anything else, just let me know.
Okay, that's Chat G being interviewed by yours truly about the Adena and Hopewell mounds in the state of Ohio and other places. Love you guys. I I know Ohio is sometimes not a popular state with the young people nowadays, but as Chat G said, those mound phenomenon or in other phenomena or in other states as well. So talk to you guys later. Thank you for listening.